Hello, welcome to the channel. I'm Richard Cole. This is Amari Music Talk, and today I'm going to talk about my 3 favorite funk guitarists. This is sort of my, Mount Rushmore of guitarists. And I know there's going to be a lot of comments. What about this person? Say, what about, say, Sugarfoot? Say, what about Charlie Singleton? Say, what about this guitarist, that guitarist, or they are great, and I would say like even Ernie Isley, but everybody has their own unique sound and signature. But like I said, these are sort of my personal favorites. And the thing about why I picked these 3, it's because of, I don't know, there's a symmetry involved. One or both had a direct influence on one of the other ones. And, to me, that's what makes them stand out. And their style, it's heavy. It's not just grounded in funk. It's grounded in deep blues. It's a heavier sound as opposed to what we would get with a lot of the later guitars, even though they still follow that template, and even though 2 of those guitars are influential, even the 3rd one, but still, this is, like I said, my personal favorite. You can put your top 3 in the comments, but before we get started, hey, if you are a long-time listener, welcome back. If you are new to the channel, welcome, and please like, subscribe, hit the notification bell, become a Patreon supporter. And with that out of the way, I'm going to start. This is no particular order, but I'm going to start with number 1, which is Jimi Hendrix. I'd say the blueprint, the template, the, I don't know, I can't even find the words, but I think the big bang of funk starts with Jimi Hendrix. Now, granted, James Brown is the inventor of funk, but in terms of what a lead guitar can do in funk and the influence on funk's next level starts with Jimi Hendrix. Like I said, deeply blues based as a guitarist. His template were the 3 kings: Albert King, B.B. King. There's also Freddie King, the great blues, artists. There's also Elmore James, it's a big influence. Lightning Hopkins, huge influence. But Jimmy took those, and his sort of, his tenure in being a side, musician for some of the greatest acts in rock and R&B. Little Richard, Ike and Tina Turner, the Isley Brothers, Wilson Pickett, paying his dues, working those circuits and learning the, R&B and rock era. He managed to fuse his own style with that. And with the release of his first album, Are You Experienced, not only did that change the game for rock music, but also it was one of the albums that George Clinton took notice of. It was Jimi Hendrix, Are You Experienced? It was Sly and the Family Stone's first album, A Whole New Thing, which is really a musician's album. It didn't really do anything in the charts. It was kind of a flop. But like I said, if you caught wind of what Sly and the Family Stone was doing live when they were recording that album, I think between California and Las Vegas, if you caught what they were doing, some of the biggest acts, like Motown acts, they were able to catch those shows and realize, oh, this group is the next big thing. This is the next level. And they really took notice of that. Norman Whitfield pinched a lot of stuff off of that. But a lot of people think that Dance to the Music is the first Sly and the Family Stone album. The song Dance to the Music is their first big hit, but A Whole New Thing is the actual first album. Years later, it has become one of the most sampled albums in hip hop. I have to do a video on that album's influence, but getting back to Hendrix, it was Are You Experience, it was Sly and the Family Stone's Whole New Thing, and it was the Beatles' Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band that George Clinton took notice of, and those three albums influenced him to create Funkadelic. And leading into Funkadelic, probably that influence of Hendrix was passed on to a young cat named Eddie Hazel, who is Funkadelic's lead guitarist. And I have a video about why I think that Eddie Hazel is the heir apparent to Jimi Hendrix. I think Eddie Hazel best exemplifies what type of direction, or one of the directions that Hendrix would have gone into had he lived. But Eddie Hazel's influence in Funkadelic, probably the most significant, and where he puts his own stamp on his own style, is Maggot Brain. Also in that video, I also point out how, like, Maggot Brain, to us is sort of like, it's Led Zeppelin's Stairway to Heaven. It's the go-to signature guitar solo in music, period. But yeah, again, blues bass, very versatile in his style. His first solo album, Games, Dames, and Guitar Things, it's an amazing album. It's hard to get on physical media, whether it's the CD or the vinyl. People want ridiculous amounts of money for it. It deserves a remaster. But the versatility, it has funk. There's Bootsy and George, with the production and some of the writing of some of the songs. But his covers, the cover of Mamas and Papa's California Dreaming, he definitely makes that song his own, and the guitar work in that is great. Same thing with the Beatles' I Want You, She's So Heavy. He takes that and makes it his own too. It's faithful to the original version, but Eddie puts his style on it, and it works. It stands apart. It stands on its own. You will like that just as much, and in some cases maybe even better than the Beatles version, the original version. But again, his Red Hot Mama, that another solo. There's a clip circulating on YouTube of him just throwing down on that solo. It's one, I think, the P-Funk Earth Tour era, like around 77 or so. But yeah, check that out. Amazing guitar solo. Now, both of those guitars are the absolute prime influences on number 3, which is Jesse Johnson of the Time. And just if you've ever seen the Time live, whether it's at their peak in the 80s or any one of their reunion performances, even if you check out Jesse Johnson's solo work, I love just about everything that he has put out as a solo artist. The whole A&M Records era, it's funk based. A lot of it probably pressures from the label to be more commercial. There's not as much guitar work, except for maybe a little bit more on Every Shade of Love album. But to me, hands down, my absolute favorites are now hard to find, and hopefully they'll get reissued soon. But I do have physical copies of both Bare My Naked Soul and Verbal Penetration. To me, those are the absolute best Jesse Johnson albums. They exemplify exactly who Jesse Johnson is as an artist and as a guitar player. Like I said, I love the A&M stuff. I mean, you know, especially at a time when, you know, if you weren't getting enough funk from, say, Prince's Around the World Today or Parade, you know, those first few Jesse Johnson albums from the A&M Records days, you know, or Morris Day solo albums, they definitely fill that void. And like I said, great material. You know, has always been very influential on me personally from those beginning solo records. But you talk about evolution, those two, Bare My Naked Soul and Verbal Penetration. Like I said, that one's definitely hard to find, but there are tracks on YouTube, select tracks. You know, if you just search for it, there'll be some tracks that'll pull up, and just listen to that, and you hear the Hendrix, you hear the Eddie Hazel. And like I said, those have been, you know, according to him, like his prime influences. And again, very blues, I mean deep blues bass. You know, influenced by the same guitars that Eddie Hazel and Jimi Hendrix, whether it's the B.B. Kings or the Albert Kings, or whether it's, you know, Elmore James or Howlin' Wolf or Muddy Waters. Heavy influences. But again, those are my 3 top funk guitarists, the Mount Rushmore. And like I said, it's not a slight to anyone else. Like I said, I enjoy the heck out of listening to Ernie Isley play. You've seen us cover Cameo in quite a number of videos, and we'll continue to cover Cameo. So the influence of, or the sound of Charlie Singleton, trust me, you will get episodes on that as well. So it's not excluding them or not saying this is the, you know, this is it and nothing else. But personally for me, those are my Mount Rushmore of guitars. But what do you think? You know, let me know who your top 3 are in the comments. And again, continue to like, subscribe, hit the notification bell, become a Patreon supporter. Also, thank you for checking out Funky Poetic Bootlegs. I enjoy the numbers on that. There is a physical CD coming soon as well. Like I said, I always call it avant-garde funk, and it's a personal project for me, but there'll be some more stuff coming soon as well. But thanks for checking that out, and if you haven't, there's links to my website, Bandcamp page, and Patreon page, and you can check those things out. I'll also put a link to the YouTube page where you can listen to all the tracks as well. So thank you again for checking that out, and continue to check it out. And again, tune in to the next episode, and until then, create your day, create your life. Peace.
Yeah, this is it.